What is up, comic book fans? Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly, guys. I am Mike Spider Slayer, and of course, we have the three of us here today. Kat's back, so say hello, Kat.
How's it going, guys? Sorry I missed last week, but like Mike said, I'm back and happy to be here.
Yep, and then of course we have Brant Fowler here with us.
What's up, everybody?
Yes, guys, and we have a pretty good show, I think. We got some big Marvel news that dropped today, and we were kind of like, oh, there's only like one big news piece to talk about, and that was the Batman news. But now we got all this Marvel news to talk about these 8 new titles, and it's kind of like their way of doing like their universe, like a cinematic universe, but in comic book style, and that's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to talking about that in a little bit, but we do have some other news pieces that we're going to get to. Let the audience build a little bit before we get to that. So, Kat, I'm going to hand it over to you, and let's get started.
Yes. So first up, we have some media news, and we're going to talk about Flash casting Despero for season 8 villain. Yeah, that show's still on, and Despero's is a villain now.
So when I saw this news on the doc, I'm like, I got nothing to say about this. Not even close. I haven't watched Flash in so long. It's crazy.
I jumped ship like 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in quite. I don't even remember where I left off. But I only wanted to comment on this because it's like, how desperate can they get when they're bringing Despero in as the big bad for the villain? I mean, for the season.
Yeah, they're definitely getting desperate on that one.
Yeah.
So Kat, you see how you got a couple people are like, "Hey, welcome back, Kat," and they were like ragging on us last week that you weren't here, like we couldn't handle the show without you last week.
Yeah, they were.
Well, I did tune in for a little bit, and you guys handled the show pretty well. So I need a break sometimes, guys. I do appreciate all the love, though.
Mike and I have been doing this for a minute, everyone. just to put that out there.
Only a minute, right?
Only a minute. Just a minute. But.
I think I took the break that way you guys would miss me. Just like it shows, man, I miss Kat.
It shows you that we can hold the fort down without you. You miss very little, but it shows you that we have experience.
Yeah, but we all did miss
I believe in you guys.
for sure.
Yeah, we always do. Show's not complete without you.
Of course.
Thank you. Yeah, I miss you guys too. I miss talking about the comics. So I'm glad I'm here. And again, thank you. Thank you, Master Panther. Hey, Kat, Michael Jordan is here. That was worth watching.
Wow.
That was that reference last week because Brant was like, Michael Jordan is missing. And then Brant was like, hey, but they still got, Scottie
Pippen and Rodman.
Rodman,
exactly.
But are they anything like Michael Jordan?
But they're still important players. You couldn't have that championship team without everyone.
You couldn't have a team. I 100% agree. But yeah, thank you guys for all the love. I appreciate it. I will say they would be lost if I wasn't collecting the news throughout the week. I don't know if the show would be the same if I wasn't collecting that news. I don't know. Just saying.
We all do our parts, yeah, for sure. You definitely came through with that, yeah.
All right, well, let's go into some more news here. This is an interesting one. So Poison Ivy is going to be in Batwoman, the TV show. And it's funny, I do a Legends of Tomorrow podcast, and I was talking to my friend Amy, and she's like, it'd be so cool. Poison Ivy came on the show. Literally last week, she said this. Or it came on Legends of Tomorrow. I said, that's never going to happen. She's too big of a character. Literally this week, Batwoman has Poison Ivy. I'm like, okay, you win. I owe you a drink. So that's weird that they're utilizing such a big character. It's like Harley Quinn being in Batwoman. I don't know how that is happening.
Probably to get more views, right? It's like, oh, everybody loves Poison Ivy. Let's throw Poison Ivy in there. We'll get some people to watch the show.
Poison Ivy like in Gotham though?
Yeah. A version.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I kind of forgot about that. They had a lot of characters in Gotham that they shouldn't have had, though, because they also had Batman. Like, oh, how did they get away with that?
I wonder if this will drive like Poison Ivy's like first appearance up, being that she might be on this show.
We can only hope that it's that good, but I have a feeling no one's going to care too much, except for the people already watching Batwoman. I don't think it's going to convince people to watch Batwoman.
I mean, Tizzy the Great says, "Guess I'll start watching Batwoman again." So there you go.
Okay, but they did say again, so that means they at least had
yeah,
already tried Batwoman.
That is true. Yeah.
Guys, I want to just throw this out there real quick because we're talking about Poison Ivy. So I actually had, I do my top 10 comic book covers of the week, right? And so the thumbnail on there was Poison Ivy because she's returning in the Batman issue that's coming out tomorrow or today, actually. Yeah. And then I had another picture on there because I split them up with like 3 pictures. And I had another picture in there with like, Mystique from the Demon Days thing, and I had them like on one side and one on the other, the font covering them and stuff like that. I got a notice from YouTube saying that I violated their sexual misconduct thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they're not nude in any way, shape, or form. Plus, the font is covering them up. And at first, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was like a YouTube glitch. And then I started getting emails about it saying your thumbnail exploits the sexuality thing. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, there's nothing here that is like, yes, they look sexy. You know what I'm saying? But they're not even close to being nude. Not even it was so weird. And I tried to find the form to go back and appeal it, but it just wouldn't let me appeal it. So I had to change the thumbnail on it.
That's so weird, especially the stuff you can find on YouTube that apparently has no problem.
Right.
Yeah.
That was weird, crazy. Man. I was just like, wow, that's crazy. But anyway, that Poison Ivy cover that's coming out this week, it's absolutely gorgeous, by the way, if you want to get a variant of it. So, but I found that weird. Speaking of Poison Ivy, sorry to go off there.
I don't remember which cover I got for Batman. I'm also only getting like 8 comics next week. Or tomorrow. I don't have that many comics I'm getting.
It's a very small, most anticipated list this week. I will say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think because they're playing this as the 5th Wednesday, even though it's not the 5th Wednesday.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because it's like a lot of annuals and stuff like that. So I think that's why we have it the way it is. So we'll see.
Right.
But let's get into DC Fandome trailer came out, which we didn't know it was returning. But we have a trailer. And the only reason I wanted to talk about this is that, have you noticed that comics were not related in this at all this year? They're like, no comics.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't watch it. So.
And those movies that they talked about last year, the Batman movie, we got the trailer. Do I really care to see another one? I don't know.
Yeah. I did hear about
Suicide Squad, Batman, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, it seemed like it was all movie stuff. So I don't know.
It definitely is because they're only doing one day.
I got to highlight this comment. I'm sorry.
Cat equals comic creator, Mike equals comic book smeller. You guys are cool.
That is hilarious.
I think that's true. Everything right there. We should have our tag names be that.
I'm glad I know him now as the comic book smeller.
The comic book smeller, yeah.
100%.
I'm just a generic creator. That's been my role on this show forever. I'm the other guy, whatever.
You're the other guy and the comic book creator.
There you go. Yeah.
Speaking of, we actually do have our prints that we made for the Kickstarter, which is pretty cool. I only thought about that because we're all holding comic books that maybe Brant had created one of those comics that we were holding in our hands.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah, Mike is signing them right now. I'm the last one, so I'll get them next, and then I'll
and I'm in the process of signing like all 2,000 of them.
There's so much.
I took it out. I saw when I got the package, right? I'm sitting there going, holy shit. I'm like, this thing is heavy. I'm like, this is what I'm going to sign these. And then I open it up. I'm like, the stack is like this freaking big. I'm like, this is going to take me forever. I think I've signed like 60 of them so far, and that's all I've got. Yeah. I got a long way to go.
I'm surprised how fast Chris got through them. He just like flew through them. I was amazed. It was like a day later he sent them to cat. I was like, okay. Cool.
I will say I sat down for a good 30 minutes to 45 minutes and so like I just gotta crank this out. But also my autograph is not as distinct as many. It's just got the K and the C and a little squiggle. So it's a little easier.
I'll probably do it in batches when I get them. Like Mike. So.
Yeah. Mine is a little Mike in SS. That's how I sign mine.
I realized that I do the same signature. So I need to stop that I use like everywhere. So I need to like not do that. That's not good. I don't know why I never thought. I do stack it when I sign stuff instead of just like straight across like you would a document or whatever. But still, I think I need to change that up.
Yeah. Just do the squiggles. I recommend. It really saves you on time.
Yeah.
And they always look like the same squiggle.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just said Jamie just says, "Are you guys going to talk about the Marvel news?" I'm not sure if it's movies or comic issues coming out. We are getting to that. We're just getting through the other news pieces first, and then we will be talking about that new news. We'll be talking about going through like each of the books that are coming out and kind of like what they're about.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely break that down. Any other thoughts on DC Fandome? Are you excited? I'm not.
I didn't even watch the last two.
Yeah, same. I just watched like the big stuff that came out of it. I was like, oh, Batman trailer's out. Let me go see it. I didn't watch any of the panels.
Right.
So let's get into the next thing, which is another Flash DC TV CW news piece. They're having a 5-episode event. So the events are returning after COVID. What's interesting about this one is that there are certain characters that will appear from shows that aren't on anymore, like Black Lightning. We'll have Batwoman. We'll have Brandon Routh from Legends of Tomorrow. We have Alex from Supergirl, Mia Queen from Arrow, and then Ryan Choi is returning from the crossover, which I think is cool. We haven't had a big event like this in a while, and it's cool to get to see those characters again, even though I feel like obviously they all just ended, so it's not like, oh man, seeing them again. But it shows that this world is still all connected.
Yeah. I was excited about it just seeing Arrow's daughter. That was like, because I really enjoyed that season where she got like half the focus of the whole season, and I really liked her character, and I was kind of glad to see her come back and that they're still utilizing some of those characters even if we don't get to watch them. So I'll watch the event.
Well, you have to let us know how it is.
Knots Panther, you're all good, man. We're just kidding.
Oh yeah. We're good.
We take it all in good stride. Trust us.
Yeah,
we're all just joking around. We have let me see. Tox who wants a shout out. Can we get a shout out to Hurricane Ida for destroying Louisiana and taking out our power and making my local comic book store close for a few weeks at least? I'll miss out on all my books for a while. I'm sorry that's happening to you and that you live in that area, but please keep safe.
Yeah,
that's a tough time right now for everyone that's in that area. I was actually watching it on TV and just shaking my head because, it could happen to me. I live in Florida. It could happen to Brant. He lives over in Texas. And then Kat, I know it doesn't, you still get those storms, maybe not as serious, but you deal with other things. And
we have those hurricanes, but we don't have what you guys have preparation. So when we're hit, we get hit.
I'm in San Antonio, so I'm like central Texas. So like a few hours south of me, Lisa's got a bunch of family down that way, and they get it sometimes. But
but hopefully things eventually will get back to normal there. It's just a tough time, and that was a tough situation, man. Really tough.
Tavia, just no books, no talk about today's books. I was gonna write it down, but just because we're in the middle of news, no Fear State talk. We'll talk about it next week. All right, next up is more DC news, which is 25 DC titles have been delayed. Man,
that's a lot. That is a lot. I know. I read the article. They are saying it's because of COVID, paper shortage, all this other crazy stuff, and it's just like, man, oh man, there's a lot of stuff that was delayed there. That was a big list.
I think Wonder Girl was one. There's some trades.
Yeah, it was funny because Mike and I talked about Wonder Girl last week as most anticipated for this week, And it was like, when I was going through the list for this week, it was like, oh, it's coming out this week instead of, next week. You know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, it was surprising how many of those books were delayed. Yeah, but it's
doesn't
all
look tremendously delayed, but still delays are delays.
Right. Yeah. It's not as bad as it could be. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah.
Ruins the flow of things when you have that.
Well, yeah. And then it's like, you kind of don't know, like, unless you have those dates in front of you, you kind of don't know, like, oh, was I supposed to get this book? And then all of a sudden 2 weeks later it comes by and you're like, oh shit, now I'm getting this book. Do I want it anymore? Like, it's like one of those things.
Yeah, or you just don't know when it comes out, and you're like, you miss it, and it's like, oh crap, I didn't get that one.
Yeah,
that kind
of that's how I felt about like Chew, because I had such a long hiatus. Not long, but I was like, once it came back, I'm like, oh, I didn't really miss that much off my pull list.
Yeah,
I don't think I need to read it.
But I read
it.
It
was coming out
good, though.
Was it
good?
It was good. Yeah.
Then we're missing out.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We have a lot of comments here. Scott says, isn't Nice House on a Lake going on a 5-month hiatus? Yeah, but not because of that. It's more like the Substack stuff for sure.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of delays and stuff like that. I work at my LC, and tomorrow's books are delayed as well for Chizzy. That's crazy. I haven't had as many delays, but I think a week ago, like 3 weeks ago or so, I had a delay at my store. Luckily, it hasn't been as bad. At least for you, Micah, has not been as bad as previous.
Oh my God, it was so bad for the longest time. I was getting so pissed off.
I would too. That's a lot of delays.
Mike Manhattan asked you, Kat, did you read the previous Chew?
I did not.
You did not, but I did.
No.
Yeah,
which is why you probably enjoy it too.
Yeah, I read every single issue of the previous Chew. I have that very first issue. If I get that shit graded, that thing is like almost $2,000. That's how rare that book is. But
yeah,
it's a great series. If no one has read the original Chew, you should read it. Definitely go out there.
I've only read one random issue. I used to do a podcast with a couple of friends of mine where we talked about the same books every week, and I had to read certain books, so they just like threw me in the deep end. It's like I read like Saga issue 9 and Chew issue like whatever it was, and it's like I was totally cold, and it didn't have that connect for me. But yeah,
are you glad we do it this way instead of that way?
Yeah,
you must read.
Yeah, it was a lot harder then because you had to read a bunch of books you didn't necessarily want to read at times. Yeah.
Are you guys going to touch on the Toxic Avenger news? I don't even know what that news piece is.
There's Toxic Avenger news.
There's a movie or something coming out.
I knew that's been talked about for a while, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Comic Journey, you're gonna have to let us know. Also, Toxacs, any Substack news? Nothing new, just that a lot of creators are going there.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any new announcements about other creators yet.
Yeah, nothing right now. But let's get into one of our bigger topics here, which is Joshua Williamson is taking over the new Batman, which called it, right? I think literally when the Tiny thing, I was like, oh, Williamson would be interesting. I'm excited. I like his Robin run a lot. But then there's certain things and I think Brand has said this too. Like, I didn't really like his Flash that much. I'm not really enjoying Infinite Frontier. But because I'm enjoying Robin and because he's such good friends with Tynion, I feel like he's the best person to take over that run.
Yeah, it's like I really enjoyed him in some of his indie stuff, right? So the first time I read his book was a book that he did through Dark Horse, I think it was. And I really liked that book, and then Birthright, of course. But when he got to DC, it was very hot and cold for me. I did not enjoy that Flash run at all. But Robin, I'm absolutely loving, which gives me hope for Batman. So,
yeah, I mean, hey, if he can write good Batman, that's all I want. The only problem is he's just doing a lot, and I just feel like it's DC's last hope for a good Batman writer, so he better do a good job. And I think he might have to lighten the load a little bit, So, how long is Robin supposed to last? Is it an ongoing?
Yeah, it's ongoing.
So, I mean, if there's a book that he can tie in, it's that book and Batman, right? So, and what else is he currently writing besides Infinite Frontier right now?
Deathstroke Inc. He's also
Oh, that's right, Deathstroke Inc. So that's a big deal right there. And I know that's only a limited series, right? So is it like 7
I
issues?
don't actually know if it is. I'm not sure if it's
I'm not
an
sure
ongoing or limited.
Right.
Black Canary's in it, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I just think it's a lot. And then we'll see how long he is on it, though. That he could be even a temporary writer for right now, for all we know, and until they find maybe a more permanent solution.
It didn't feel like a big announcement when it was announced.
Right.
I feel like it kind of went on, not under the radar because people talked about it, but it didn't feel like this is the new Batman writer.
It's like he's introducing this story, and I feel like once he's done with this Abyss story, I think that's what it was called. Then after that, I think he who knows? I could be completely wrong, but he might be gone. And it's just kind of like, again, who are we going to find? Because right now they had to find someone quickly, because he was leaving. And, because November's going to be here before you know it. And they need someone to write some stories with Batman. So,
yeah. Huh?
So going, we're going to say, Brent.
No, it's fine. Go on.
I was just going to say, going into our big topic for today, let's screen share because there's a lot to talk about. Marvel announced MCU style the new lineup for, or at least some of their new books for the next year, pretty much, so like early 2022. So first up, we have the Daredevil title is called not Dark Reign, but Devil's Reign. I don't know why we need an extra title for this. I do hope it brings more people to Daredevil because I think it's been such a great book. But I don't need an event. It could have just been in Daredevil.
But isn't the actual Daredevil book ending though? And this is kind of continuing off of that.
It's taking a hiatus at the very least. Yeah. According to Chip Zdarsky, it's coming back in some form. But yeah.
Which I guess is this form, but I'm like, did they have to cancel the book? They could have just, had the book instead. But I guess, this will definitely bring more eyes to Daredevil because it's another issue 1. A lot of people wouldn't know the big events that's happening in that book unless you're reading the book. So, it's just a ploy for more people to read it, which I think more people should. It's a good book. So I'm excited for that one. That's in December.
Yeah.
And then, but what it is, though, I think that what it says, though, here is the Thunderbolts are going to be in this book as well. So, and this was the Thunderbolts that they introduced through King in Black.
Right.
So that's actually kind of cool. I'm looking forward to actually seeing that.
Me too.
And it looks like there's going to be some good heroes in there, like Iron Man, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. So that definitely does show some promise, I think.
Yeah,
sure.
I completely agree.
Excited.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Avengers Forever, which is a 90s storyline for Avengers written by the Avengers writer, which is Jason Aaron, also the same artist as Avengers. This is a skip for me. I don't read Avengers. I don't even read X-Men Forever. And if I'm going to read any of the Forever titles, it would be that one. I just don't care.
Why do we have to keep revisiting every single 90s storyline?
Nostalgia.
I know, but it's like every single one. I don't think we need all of them.
Right.
Yeah. And same. I'm not reading Avengers either. And so this has no interest for me.
So I think this picks up off of the newest issue that's going to come out. The supposed, what is it, 750th issue?
Yeah.
And the 50th issue. So this kind of playing off of that because they're introducing the Masters of Evil, like from a different multi-universe or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's where this kind of this story is coming from. So
yeah, I remember the teasers for that now and being like, well, that at least those characters look interesting. I still
don't seem excited.
It doesn't have me excited, yeah, because I keep getting burned by Avengers. I keep trying it, and yeah.
So moving on to the next one, which is Timeless, and this is a continuation of Kang the Conqueror, the limited series, which honestly I actually enjoyed the first issue. I didn't get to talk about it because I wasn't here last week, but I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm like, I'm going to read, I don't know if I'm going to read issue 5, but I liked it as a first issue.
Yeah, I mean, Mike and I talked about it, obviously, and I was like, it was good. It was a fine issue, but it wasn't I didn't need it. You know what I mean? So it's like I wasn't going to continue it. But now, but now seeing this and Jed McKay, who's doing Moon Knight and Black Cat, that's kind of got me, intrigued now. So.
And Mark Bagley's on this too. I think that's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm excited for this as well. And again, King the Conqueror is popular right now, so why not do more of him? And I'm excited for this one too.
So moving on to X Lies and X Deaths of Wolverine. Where have I heard this one from? I'm not reading Wolverine, so I'm probably not going to check this out. I don't care,
I didn't even really read what this one is about.
Wolverine has been through the ringer over the course of his life, but the writer of his current ongoing series is planning to amp up the stakes. That's pretty much all it says.
It says, let's see. Similar Wolverine format. Operating across the Marvel multiverse, including the aged days of Futures Past Logan. Percy will be joined by his X-Force partner, Joshua Cassara, along with Federico Vinciti, I don't even know. X Lives off Wolverine and X Deaths of Wolverine are both scheduled to debut in January of 2022. This one does not sound exciting to me.
I believe that's one of the artists on Spider-Man.
That's your artist, right? Or no?
No, that's Sabatini. Okay. That's the other Federico. So I think this is the one that they were working together. So at least the art will be good. But I don't read X-Force. I dropped off of that, and I dropped off Wolverine as well. So yeah, this is one that's probably going to be a pass for me.
All right, let's get in. Oh, we're going to say, Mike.
I was just going to say there was a question here from Sebastian. It says, for Wolverine X Lives, is it going to be a weekly title that Hickman mentioned after Inferno? I have no idea. Don't know yet.
It doesn't say weekly, but it could be. So moving on to the one I'm 100% most looking forward to, and that is She-Hulk. And guess who's on it? Rainbow Rowell, who's done Runaways. Yeah. I'm so excited for this. I love Rainbow's writing, and she really loves She-Hulk. So if she does what she did for Runaways for She-Hulk, this will be the best series at Marvel. I promise you. So Mike, get ready to enjoy She-Hulk again.
Oh yeah. Well, she tries to put everything behind her. You know what happened to her during the whole Avengers storyline that's going on right now.
Yeah.
And I think it looks like she's trying to do superheroing again, and then she's a lawyer. So
love it.
I was speculating on this because when I was doing my solicitation video last week for Marvel Comics of November, there was a Fantastic Four issue that was getting ready to come out, and it had The Thing, and it had Jennifer Walters on there, and it had her green wearing her lawyer outfit holding a briefcase. And it was a current story. It wasn't like anything from the past. So I'm like, man, maybe based off of what happens in Avengers, she somehow gets back to the way that she was before.
Yeah. I would like that.
I won't read Avengers, but I'll read this.
Right. Yeah. And the art's going to be good too. It's Hellions artist, and I think the art in Hellions is pretty good.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's really good.
So
nice.
Great creative team.
Look forward to for sure. Next up is Fantastic Four Reckoning War. This is, I believe, from Dan Slott working on this. Yeah, so just more Fantastic Four, which I've enjoyed Fantastic Four. I think it's a pretty solid series, and I like what they've been doing with the characters. So I'll definitely pick this one up.
Yeah, same. It's not blowing my socks off or anything, but it is consistently solid.
It's readable. It's readable Fantastic Four, and we haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoy it. I like it. I really do. I think it's fun. Yeah, I love the artwork in it as well. It's a good Fantastic Four story. Like you said, it's nothing monumental or mind-blowing, but not every single comic has to be event or life-changing. Like sometimes we can have good story arcs and enjoy them, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just a really fun book, and I do genuinely think it's some of Dan Slott's best work. just
Yeah, I agree.
consistently best work because
Yeah.
again, it's just fun. And I agree with that. All right, so the last title we're going to talk about is something that actually does not have a creative team yet, and that is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's top secret, whoever this creative team is, and I've never really got into Moon Girl, but I do think we need more titles like this at Marvel. So in that regard, I'm very happy.
I really enjoyed that run, that short run that they had with Moon Girl, and it was just fun. It was fun, and I've read her in other books. I'm reading that Web of Spider-Man thing. She's in that, and she's just a fun character. So I'm kind of looking forward to this, and I'll be more curious to see who the creative team is on it, though. Of course.
I mean, I've never been a huge fan of these characters, but I might check it out. Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Depends who that team is. Depends on
Yeah.
who that top secret
Right.
team is.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know some people that are watching are probably wondering, like, why is Marvel doing this? Is this another event or whatever? It doesn't seem like any real major events. They're just new
Right.
titles.
Just a fun way to announce them, I think.
Right. It's kind of like they did. You see this timeline and you get to see, it's kind of like how they've been doing it on announcing it for movies. Like they put the timeline, or the TV shows, they're putting the timeline. So they're doing the same thing with the comics. They're just letting you know what series are coming out when, so you have an idea what to expect and what to get excited about. And it's no real events. It's just, again, different storylines. So I like it. I think it's a pretty cool idea, or a different way of, getting you excited about certain series. And if you don't want to read them, you don't have to read them, right?
Yeah.
I agree. So that's all the news we have. So we will get into the big books, but first I do want to talk about my Kickstarter that's going on. So I'm going to share the screen for a second, and then we'll get into the big books. But I do have a Kickstarter going on right now called By Visibility, a bisexual anthology. One thing that's so nice about this Kickstarter is I don't need to explain anything else besides that, because that's what the book's about. So it's an anthology about bisexuality.
Sells itself.
So
yeah.
It sells itself. So it's very nice that I don't have to describe too much. But yeah, it also, it's not just like a romance book. It's not just a slice of life book. There's different genres. So you have fantasy, you have, you do have romance, you have some slice of life, you have some drama, you have action, spy adventure. So I really do think there's a story for you in there. So hopefully you guys go check it out. Also, we're almost funded, which is really cool. We're less than $300 away to fund in 2 days. We're making $10,000 in 2 days, which is blowing my mind, and it's the best Kickstarter I've had. So hopefully you guys could go check it out. I'll have the link in the description below, so definitely check it out. But yeah, let's get into those big books.
All right. Pretty cool, guys. All right. Well, before we get into it, I think maybe we got a couple questions here.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, let's see. Whatever happened to Devil Dinosaur? I think I lost it. Devil Dinosaur cartoon. I think.
I think it's still happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still.
That press release actually said, leading up to the animated series, this book comes out. So
a lot of the books are leading up to some shows.
Yeah,
like She-Hulk is
right.
there because of the TV show. Kate Bishop was
Yeah.
announced last week because of the TV show.
Yeah.
I think Marvel wants to. I think maybe they're starting to get smart about
Finally.
releasing stuff when
Yeah.
TV shows are going to come out. It only makes sense to do that too, right?
They
Yeah.
missed the boat with WandaVision, so
Right.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Mass Panther says, do you guys consider Jed McKay the next big up and coming writer for Marvel? I think he might be. I think he's getting there. He's
Yeah.
definitely trying to put himself out there by doing this Infinity event with the Infinite Destinies and
Yeah.
having Black Cat maybe wield this power. I don't know. We're still yet to see what happens with that storyline, but I think it's very possible.
Yeah, I think they saw his work on Black Hat, and how that picked up and got interest, and then they're giving him a little bit more with like Moon Knight, and now this other book, Timeless, and yeah, I think he's definitely on the rise.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, let's see. Anything else? Nothing right now. Okay. All right, so let's go talk about some comic books this week, guys. there was a lot. So we talk about how next week or tomorrow or today, however you want to look at it, is not a lot of, comic books being released. But when you look at the books that came out this past week, it was huge, like absolutely huge. And let me just get myself ready here. So I think I read like 24 books this week.
Ooh,
Wow.
I read my average. I think I read like 12 or 13.
16 for me.
16? Yeah, I read a lot this week. I still had like 10, 11 books to read today too. So I was like overtime and reading, but it was a lot of indie stuff that I read today. But speaking of indie, we're going to kick it off with King Spawn issue 1. I have a feeling Cat's not going to read this anymore. I don't know.
No, I'm done. That was not.
I knew. There was no doubt in my mind that you would not continue this after this first issue. You were probably like, I don't give a shit. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of this? I'm not reading the next issue. Right.
Which I think is a shame, because I think the whole point of these issue 1s is to get new readers to read Spawn. So to have something that was like kind of not new reader friendly at all, or grabbing for new people, I thought was a shame, because that's the reason I picked it up. I'm like, oh, maybe I could check out some of these new issue 1s. And I was really disappointed that I probably can't check out any of these new issue 1s.
I mean, what they did do in there was they showed you each individual character, and it was just some kind of like little random story on these characters that are going to be in these future books. That's kind of what it was. The first issue was just, the first part of it was just a Spawn story in itself. But all the other things were like Haunt. He was a character that was released like, I don't know, maybe almost 10 years ago, where he was created by Todd McFarlane and Robert Kirkman. Right. He's back in the book now. He's going to be in the Spawn universe. So he was introduced. There was this other Spawn character, and then there was Gunslinger Spawn. And so there was a lot of introduction to different Spawns. Now, a lot of us who read Spawn since issue like 300 know who these characters kind of are. But this was just another way of introducing them to people that may have not known who they were at all. So if you gravitated to it, you did. And if you didn't, I can totally understand that too.
Yeah, one of the questions from Tevia, why don't you read Spawn? I gave it a shot. I think with Spawn, it's not my thing, A. But B, also, like, it's 300 and something issues in. And this is, like, one of the only series that doesn't really relaunch itself. And, not giving it a fair shot, but it's just not. I think it's very much lives in the 90s. It's very, not in a bad way, but it's a very action book. It's, it's just not the type of books I usually read.
Yeah, I've never been into Spawn, and I looked at this and it was so long, and I already had reservations, so I just passed on it.
I picked it up because I was only getting 12, so.
Tevia goes, where's Angela? Angela's in the most recent issue of Thor.
Thor, yeah.
End of it. Yeah, that's where she's at.
Yeah, exactly. You missed the boat on that one. She can't be in Spawn anymore.
Mike Manhattan's like, Haunt's back? Where's he been? Who knows? I never expected this guy to ever be seen again.
I liked Haunt. I remember reading that series.
It was a good book.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I still have them, though, to tell you the truth. I might. So
I definitely don't. So.
All right, let's talk about another book here. Let's talk about Darkhawk issue 1. Brant and I have been really looking forward to this book for a long time. And Kat, I'm not sure, but she did read it. And I love this book. I really did.
I liked it a lot. I think my only reservation, there's 2 reservations I have. A was the art. I just didn't love the art. B, I am a little worried that they're going to make his disability a superpower. And I don't think that's great for like a disability storyline, because it's not how the reality of disabilities work. But Kyle Higgins had a letter in the back where he's going to be talking to people with that condition. Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. So he obviously has done his research. So I don't think he's going to end up doing that and make it like a superpower. Yeah.
So the way Darkhawk works, and I don't know how familiar you are with Darkhawk Cat, but like
just that he's from the New Warriors and that he's a 90s character.
So when he transforms, his body actually goes somewhere else, and it's like a synthesoid body with his consciousness in it. So when he transforms back, his body so he's not
Okay,
He's
cool.
not-
They're not
yeah, so
making
he's
that
not in
cool.
there.
right.
Yeah. Okay, that works
yeah.
then. I like that's not like healing his disability. I think that's the
Right.
most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's healthy while he's Darkhawk.
Right.
Mhm.
It's kind of like how like Jane Foster was when she was Thor.
Yeah.
You know, similar.
Yeah, I like that. Honestly, I enjoyed the issue. I thought they had some really good hooks. Like the character was interesting. I like that you found out about the disability throughout the story, and then there's a really good cliffhanger with the friend. So I thought it was a good first issue.
I honestly didn't see the friend as a like working with the old basketball store as a thief or whatever it was. I did not expect to see that. The only thing that I didn't like about it was like how he became Darkhawk was like super quick. It was like almost instantaneously, and it was
Almost
just
off
like
panel.
right away. He was just like,
Right.
I know what I have to do, you know,
Yeah.
like and that felt rushed to me. I would have rather him see the amulet at the end and maybe reach for it, but you don't see him become Darkhawk until maybe the second issue. We don't always need to see a hero at the first issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That part was a little bit rushed, and it was just like like you said, he automatically knew what to do and all that stuff. And, you know, that's a little unbelievable. But I do like the way that they depicted him starting to get sick, like the way that the art changed and it was like all wavy. And it was a really interesting way to describe, you know, what that feels like, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought it was a really solid first issue, too. So.
Yeah, I felt bad for the kid, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like he had everything going for him, and then everything,
right.
You can see that you can lose anything at any time at a blink of an eye, just a snap. And it's just like, that's it, you know?
Yeah.
But I do
no
actually
matter how
like
old you are, too.
Yeah. And I also like it, though, like when one door closes, another door opens type of message in the book also. Right. So that was pretty cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next.
I like that he played basketball. That was
of course he did. I knew at least that would give it a 1-up for you for sure.
That's why I picked it up. Was the basketball.
All right. So my books are right over here. So let me get my 5 books that I have. Brant, go kick it off with your number 5.
My number 5 was Strange Academy issue 12, I think it was. I was happy to see this title back. It feels like it's been a while since the last time, and it was the resolution of that storyline we had talked about, Mike, where that kid with the jacket. I still can't remember his name. Yeah, I just read it and I still can't remember his name.
Calvin or something?
Yeah, Calvin. That's it.
Yeah.
Calvin. So we see the resolution of that whole thing where we find out, you know, that he's possessed by this thing, and they try to separate it from him, and they get Toph back together. And I really like the emotional way it ended, where he basically just forgave him, and you know, and I don't know, it felt more connected. Like all the students were working together finally. They weren't at odds like they had been. So it's like when push comes to shove, they're going to unite. And yeah. So I
liked it too. It just missed my
top 5.
Top 5. It was number 6 actually.
Gotcha.
So it was close. It was a tough decision, but I definitely had to make a decision, and it was a good issue. I enjoyed it, and I was kind of on the fence if I was going to continue this series based off of this issue, because I'm still like, you know, weary about it, because you're not sure like where is this title really actually going and what's the point. And I know we did talk about that last week. But I still like the unity of the characters here, which made it special. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. And I like I said last week, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm kind of there too. It's just I'm still enjoying it, so I'm still going to read it. Yeah.
All right, Cal, what was your number 5?
Mine was Darkhawk. We already talked about it.
Oh, wow. All right.
Nice.
And then, so my number 5 was actually Black Widow. So I enjoyed this issue of Black Widow. Wraps up this whole Apache storyline finally, because I was kind of over that guy. And
I was not into that storyline.
But I do like the formation of this supposed Black Widow team, maybe. I don't know. I mean, we got introduced to, what's her name? Lucy? Is it Lucy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
then another cat. I don't like her as much as I like. Okay, seeing Kate and
right.
obviously Black Widow and the other characters. So he's a White Widow is cool too.
Yeah, so you
But
got
the new
Yelena.
characters, they're okay. Yeah,
I,
Rana.
Yeah, Rana was there. So
I really
this
like
Lucy
Lucy.
character's brand
You
new,
like
and so
Lucy?
I do. Yeah,
and now
she's
she has a
spunky.
power set too. She's kind of like a
Yeah.
rogue.
Yeah, exactly. Which it's like, okay, we got another rogue, but it's interesting that her arms are just like pure energy or whatever.
Yeah.
Now.
Visually, it's cool. The
Yeah.
art's so good for this book. That double page
Yeah.
thread blew
Oh,
my mind.
man.
That was so crazy.
Wow, that would have been one of my panels if I had made it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely a pretty solid book for me, and it definitely always a solid series. I really enjoy it. I had fun with it, and I never expected like this type of team to come together, and that's what surprised me about this book. That Natasha is kind of willing to work well with others, So I thought that was neat.
We do have a question. Oh, you go first, Brandon.
I was just gonna say I had fun with it. It didn't quite make my top 5, but yeah.
It didn't make my top 5 either, but it's still, I liked elements of it. But again, kind of over the plot.
Right. If I want to start Spawn now, where should I start to catch up? So what I would do is I would start at issue 300. If you wanted to start there, that seemed to be the pretty good jumping on point for this, everything that's about to happen with Spawn, with this new universe and characters. Perfect jumping on point. If you want to catch up or read old stories, buy the first compendium. You can probably get it for like $50 or maybe in stock trades.com, and they can probably get it for a discount as well. And it covers the first 50 issues of Spawn.
Cool.
All right. So now we move on to the next book. Cable Reloaded, issue 1. Yeah, I didn't even finish this book.
Yeah, no, I understand why they tried killing off Cable with that issue. I'm like, oh yeah, they don't know what to do with this character. Right.
Why does he have an arm that has like this tattoo thing on it and it's like glass? Like, what happened to his arm? Like,
what?
It got like shot and destroyed, and then it produced something else.
Yeah, he like jettisoned the what was left of it, and then created this like hard. There was like one little mention. He was like activate hard construct, whatever. Yeah, I'd never seen that before with him. Maybe it's happened before. I don't remember it, but
I couldn't get through this issue. I honestly couldn't get through it. What did you guys? I mean, do you guys have anything else to say about it?
I thought it was really boring.
Yeah, I finished it, but it's like I don't know. It couldn't make up its mind if he knew what was going to happen or if he didn't, because it was like he was talking about all this stuff like he was reliving it and how it happened before and how this made Rocket Raccoon a legend. But then like things were happening. He was like, that surprised me. I didn't see that coming. It's like, how can you know what's happening and not see what's coming? That doesn't make any sense. So yeah,
I would say it was very 90s. I feel like he was trying to go back to its roots, right? It was just like very actiony, very cosmic. And if you like old Cable and you like that version of Cable, I think you'll really enjoy this. But honestly, I've always liked the more emotional stories of Cable. So to just see him fighting stuff in space, it didn't do much for me.
I don't mind Cable. I don't mind Old Man Cable. I just didn't like this issue. Like, and this is too much of a sword story. Yeah. Right. And I hate that series. Like, I dropped that series. I can't stand it. And that's what it had. And it was just like, oh my God, please.
It felt like if you weren't reading Sword, you were missing a big part of this story. Yeah.
And I'm not. So
yeah. And like there was a lot of tech talk in this one, right? So he's like detailing how his boot thrusters worked and how they were going to break apart and all this stuff as he entered the atmosphere. And it was okay. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah.
So none of us like that. At least it was only one issue.
Yeah.
So
yes.
All right. So let's talk about one more book here before I gotta get some water because I feel like my voice is going. I got Echolands issue 1. This book was interesting. Like, the format of the comic book was different, right?
I read that digitally originally, and that was something.
Oh, that had to
because
be
it was so because I didn't know I was gonna get comics for like printed.
Yeah.
So I had a review copy of Echolands. I'm like, oh, let me read this first, and I read it. I was like, oh my god, it was so hard to read. And then I got the physical book and I looked through it, and because it's a storybook, that was like the point. It's supposed to be like a storybook. Wasn't my thing. And I love Batwoman. You know, I really like the detective Batwoman. It's the same creator. And I'm like, why should I care about this character?
But the thing was, there wasn't that much story. You know what I'm saying? It was very, very little story. It was like she committed this murder and they were after her and she makes people explode when she says red. And I don't know. And she was being captured by this weird thing. So there was not much story to go there, but visually it was kind of a stunning book to look at. There was so much to see there, but I don't know if I'm going to continue this or not, you know?
I don't think I will. I don't think issue 1 gave me enough.
Yeah, I didn't get this. I did not like Batwoman, and when I saw this and the format and everything, and it you know, similar layouts to the way Batwoman was drawn, and that doesn't appeal to me. So
I think it was good to save your money on it.
Yeah.
We do have some questions. Mike Manhattan says, have you ever read Darkness or Witchblade? I've read Witchblade, a good amount of it. I really like it.
Yeah, I've read a little bit of both.
Me too. There. I think I have some old Witchblade comics. I think when I was a kid and I started reading them, I bought them just for the covers because she looked hot. I'm not going to lie, because that was the true thing. Because that's what all Image comics were back in the day. That's like that's how they were all drawn. You know, all these crazy, sexy looking characters, and you're like, oh wow, this is cool. I'm going to buy this for the cool artwork. You know.
Yeah.
So, but the stories are actually halfway decent.
Yeah.
They became more decent as the series went on. I read like some of the beginning stuff and I'm like, man, this is not really good. And then like after like a certain time where like the artwork improved, I'm like, oh, this is getting better.
Yeah. I've read like some of the early stuff and I've read like some of the more recent stuff, and you know, I agree with you, Kat. And it's funny because they got a TV show out of that original stuff, but it wasn't anything like the comic. It was like
the Darkness was pretty cool. I like the Darkness, and they did crossovers too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read that when they were doing that 13 artifacts thing, where they were, you know, it was the Darkness, Witchblade, and a bunch of other artifacts throughout the Top Cow universe. That was pretty good.
We also have Mike Manhattan asks, did you ever give your thoughts on the new Spider-Man trailer? I haven't. Just, you know, looked really, really good. I'm very excited for the movie. I think it could be the best live action Spider-Man. Will it defeat Into the Spider-Verse? I don't know, because that's my favorite movie of all time. I love that movie. But I am very excited for Spider-Man. I think it looks really good. Let's see what else we got. Terry Vaughn says, hey guys, you all have new idea for a great Marvel event miniseries. Don't do any. I've never been an event person. There's certain events I do like. I don't think I've ever loved an event, honestly. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, this is the best thing in the world. So yeah, I think you're asking the wrong person on that one.
I do like events. I liked it better when it was once in a while instead of every few months. Because
I would like?
Yeah,
I would like a DC Marvel not fighting each other event, but teaming up event against some kind of common threat. That's what I would like. That would be pretty cool. I mean, instead of them, you had DC versus Marvel, but why not have them work together? I thought that would be awesome. Like, how cool would it be to have Deadpool work with Deathstroke? In something, right? That would be kind of cool. That would be my thing. Whatever that cosmic threat would be, I don't know. Maybe you had Galactus and what's the other major thing that's like in DC that like
Darkseid?
Something equivalent.
The Anti-Monitor.
Yeah, the Anti-Monitor. Yeah. Them teaming up, going against the world, and then our heroes are teaming up against them. I don't know. It could be fun.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Would you buy it? I would buy it because
for sure. Right.
I think even if it wasn't good, I would buy it just because.
Yeah, probably.
Marvel
Yeah.
and DC, but
Yeah.
See, what would you have if you have Batwoman team up with like Spider-Gwen, but she was like her Heroes Reborn form, self
Oh, yeah.
teaming up with Batgirl or whatnot? I think that would be kind of cool.
that'd be really fun. Bear F said, who would write this event? I feel
Tom
like Tom Taylor. Yeah, there we go. Because he writes for both companies.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know. It would be cool. It'll never happen, but it would be pretty cool.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely not.
All right. So let's go on. So we were talking about, what are we on? Are we on our number
4? Yeah.
Yeah, number 4.
Okay. So let's see. I'll do my number 4. My number 4 was Robin. Robin issue. What are we on? 5?
5.
So yeah, that was a good issue. I loved seeing these Robins come together, try to take on Damian, try to take him home or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, they wound up letting him go do his tournament thing. And then the last, interaction was with, what was it? Dick, right? It was when Dick, that was his last interaction before he took off.
Let him go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was really awesome, man. And just, it was a touching book, with the entire Robin family. And I just think what Williamson does well is he does a great job here, bringing this family together, even if it was just for one issue, and making it feel like they're a team in some way, shape, or form, a family. And I really enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward now to this tournament that's going to happen.
I feel like this issue in particular made me really excited for him to write Batman, just because what I loved about it is that he totally understood why every Robin is unique, and he really spells it out. And I felt like every Robin had a chance to shine. And it wasn't a filler, though. It is also giving the opportunity for Damian to grow as a person, which I really liked. It's like, oh, he could be a different person. And then, the Dick Grayson moment was so good. I just thought it was just such a well-written issue. And the artwork, obviously, is really good. I love what Williamson's been doing with Robin.
Yeah, even the Jason Todd moment was good, where he was like, you're the most emotional. Yeah, it was like, man, that's like something you don't see. You don't think of Jason as the emotional one, but then it's like,
but it is true.
It is very true. Yeah, that's why he's so angry at times. Yeah, it's because he's the emotional one. It was so good every beat, and this probably would have been like 3 of my top 5 panels this week from this book, just for that. And
mine was 3. It literally
was it really?
Panels.
Yeah, I haven't looked at them yet.
I had to.
I just like when he said to Dick, but no, you rode with me, Dick, and then he ultimately lets him go. It's just like, man, that's so good. And then you still got some of the other stuff. You got Rose and Respawn. Yeah. And, that little progression with that too. So yeah, I love this book. This is so much fun. And this is, like I said earlier, it's got me excited for him being on Batman. So
this is also the right thing to do, I feel, for Damian, right?
Yeah.
Because we've always known Damian as this little prick, and he's always angry and he's always upset. And I feel like maybe some of his fans might not be happy with this type of direction for the character, but the character eventually needs to grow, right?
He needs friends.
And he needs to be more than just angry all the time. And I think this is the perfect book for him to have him grow as a character. He can still be this awesome kick-ass fighter and do everything that you love about him, but he doesn't always have to be angry 100% of the time. There's people that love him. There's people that, are going to take care of him. And once he realizes that, he doesn't have to be angry all the time, so I love this issue. This was really, really good.
I really believe this is going to be a monumental book for him.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
What is this? Mike Manhattan says we need a new Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne book. Call it Dynamic Duo.
I like it. You need Batman somewhere in there, so Batman, the Dynamic Duo. But
all right, Brant, what's your number 4?
Thor number 16. I really like this issue. I like that Thor is just kind of completely out of character, and Jane calls him on it. It's like, why are you acting like this? What's going on with you? I thought that was so good. And, it's kind of like him just like almost like a break. He's been so down and so heavy about all this stuff. And this was just like switch flipped and he's just like broken now, and he's just like obsessed with this dream of Thanos and with the hammer and the jewels. And,
He left the hammer behind, though, right? He
yeah,
said he
left the hammer
left
behind.
it.
Yeah,
I was like, am I reading this right? Like he just
Yeah.
left it somewhere for anyone
Yeah.
to
Jane's like,
try to
you're
pick up?
crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
No wonder why Thanos becomes the way
Right?
he is, because he's the one that's going to get it.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
It's such a well-written issue, from like the
Mhm.
dynamic between Jane and Thor is so
Yeah.
freaking good. And just the dialogue written between them, talk about freaking accents and like, you know, their places
Oh, yeah.
in Thor. Like that was
Why
so
you talking in
good.
New York accent.
Like, well, I
He's
can
like,
say
yeah.
the same thing about your Asgardian accent.
Yeah, that was good too.
Even in a moment in the issue where one of the civilians thought she was Thor just because she was Thor for such a long time. So I really like that. But then you have such an awesome cliffhanger with Thor's mom. Like, it's like, oh man, that costume looks badass.
Oh, yeah.
This is such a well-written issue.
Yeah.
And again, Angela is at the end of it, and we haven't seen her in quite some time.
Right. And it's like,
They have, like, a
it
reunion.
it gave you that sense of urgency too. It's like, oh, I got to see what happens next with that, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, really solid.
Always
issue.
a good read, man. And this
Yeah.
is kind of like, this is just a little story arc. This is not even a big thing right now.
Mhm.
Just a 3-issue, one more issue of this, and then we move on to another major story. It's going to be 6 issues, and that's when Nick Klein comes back on the artwork on there. So that's going to be cool.
But I like having a little bit of a filler. I like having
there's nothing wrong
some
with
breathing
that.
room. Yeah, and it obviously turned out to be really fun.
Right. Brant and I talked about that last week. Like, I said this specific thing. I like when someone does a story, a writer that has a run on a book, and they do a whole bunch of story arcs, but there's an underlining plot that builds as time goes along, and it doesn't feel like it's one drawn out story, kind of like how Spider-Man's been, right? Yeah. And I prefer that than just one huge long story. The one thing I can say is Daredevil has been one pretty much long drawn out story, but it's been very interesting the way it's been broken up. There was King in Black mixed in that, but Donny Cates does a great job with Thor and having just great fan service in it as well. It's just, he kind of keeps it fresh at the same time. Never feels boring or drawn out.
I think Kelly Thompson does a really good job at arcs like that. And we've seen it with, as much as sometimes you love or hate those arcs, Captain Marvel. I think she's done a really good job at that. Black Widow. But then also she has those really fun issues. Like I just recently, the last Captain Marvel issue was just her teaming up with her sister and Rhodey. And that was really fun. So I agree more writers should do that.
Yeah, we don't need you don't need a particular writer on just one story and then they just leave. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's kind of how comics are more written these days, because they write for trades and they write for omnibuses. But I just wish that, I don't know, we get away from that a little bit more and get more stories, because if you don't like that long drawn out story, you got to wait until that writer is gone, you know?
Yeah. And that one shot's still going to read well in the trade, you know?
Yeah.
It's still going to be fine.
That makes me think of like Brian Azzarello's Wonder Woman run. It was like 36 issues, same story.
Right.
You could pick that up and not be lost because it's same story from issue 1. And it's that kind of thing that's just like so drawn out. But yeah, when you have that underlying arc that continues and you do other stories on top of it, it flows a lot better.
Right, exactly. All right, so Kat, I think you gotta go.
Mine is Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 2. Really solid issue. I love what Tom Taylor is doing with John. And the idea that he's trying to be a normal kid, and then that goes awfully wrong because he wants to help people, and how his views from Superman are different. I am a little scared of the whole villainous aspect of where that's going, but I also like that he made a new friend. I thought that was really cool. I'm excited to see where that goes. It's just a really solid issue. I've been enjoying it. I can't wait to see, just like I said about Robin, I can't wait to see the same for John and see how he grows.
See, we got to see how John was in Future State, and he was kind of an idiot, and I didn't like that. So I know Tom Taylor is a better writer, and I'm sure he can write John better, but this had me a little scared because I don't know. I guess this is maybe their way of trying to make a Superman a little bit more edgier and not so wholesome because he has different views. At the same time, though, I can respect it because he is going to be his own person, you know? So, and there were some cool father-son moments there. Like he gave him his cool new suit, which is kind of cool. So I like this issue, but at the same time, I'm still hesitant about the book of where it's going to go in the long term.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm hesitant about is if they are heading to Future State, because I just did not like that book at all,
right?
with John. But I did really like this issue, and the father-son moments were great. Him like trying to go to college and have the lame secret identity and all that stuff. Just all those moments throughout this issue were good, and I agree. Getting a new friend or a friend group, even regardless of where it's headed, it gives his overall character more depth and more interest than just being Superman's son or Damian's friend.
Right.
It rounds him out a little bit better. And I thought the art was really nice in this. And I also like that he has his own thoughts and own views, and that Superman's encouraging that. And it's like putting that faith in him.
He's a different person. He's not going to be, Clark. So it only makes sense,
Exactly.
I kind of wish, though, the secret identity thing would last a little bit longer than it did. It was like one page. I was like all on board with that. I'm like, I want to see how long he keeps this up and hangs out with friends like this. I thought that could have been really cool.
It was poking fun at that, though, because we've seen so many stories do that. So I kind of like the idea that it's like, we're not actually going to do that. As much as I think it's a fun story. But we saw Connor do it. We've seen so many characters try to do something similar.
Right.
Yeah. And just because of how lame it was, like the stupid wig that you could tell was a wig and that kind of thing, it's like, okay, yeah.
His friend's like, you want your wig back?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. All right, so everyone went there for number 4. And then that was the next book that we were actually going to talk about. So let's move on to, curious on what you guys thought of the Amazing Spider-Man issue 72. Now, the biggest thing about this book is this messes with the origin of really the Green Goblin here. Nick Spencer decided to say, you know what? You know who else is involved with Mephisto? And that is Norman Osborn. He basically made a deal with the devil a long time ago because his business was failing. He was being, he was losing to his partner, Strom, and he had no money. And he made a deal with him to be successful in his business, and it would cost him Harry. And that's how he became the Green Goblin. Harry's been through all this bullshit, supposedly, because of Mephisto. And there could be multiple Harrys running around now, and Kindred is just one of those Harrys. So,
if he's Harry at all.
Was that if he is, but it's kind of led to you believe until that very end where he's going to reveal himself, because he says, not all things are meant to be that way, or whatever he said there. But what do you guys think about that?
I just feel like it's too late. I don't care. I just want this to be over.
But what do you think about Mephisto, like him inserting Mephisto in Green Goblin's like origin story, and because of all the things that happened to Harry, it's because of that now, supposedly.
I mean, it's interesting, but why didn't they say this earlier? Are they going to really expand on this at all, or is it just something they just kind of threw there?
Yeah, in a sense, it kind of. It almost, I don't know what it does to Norman Osborn's character, really, because it still makes him a jerk because he was willing to give up his son for this deal. But at the same time, it's like, oh, well, it's because of this deal with a demon that he screwed up his life so bad, instead of him just being a terrible person and making some really bad choices. So in a way, even though he's still kind of a jerk, it makes him less of a jerk or a little bit more human because he just wanted success or whatever. I didn't love that, but the fact that they're expanding Mephisto's role in everything Spider-Man is interesting. I agree, but it's too little too late. I agree with Kat on that. because this story is so deep in, and it feels like a Hail Mary. It's almost like, okay, we got to do something to get this story back on track and get
I
people
agree.
interested again.
I don't think I agree with, like, it's too convenient that
Yeah.
Mephisto is, teamed up with Norman Osborn, and then he also did something with Spider-Man. It's just like we're making this character Mephisto like a Spider-Man villain or main character in the Spider-Man universe, how he's affecting everybody there. And I just think it's kind of a like you said, Brian, it's a Hail Mary pass and it messes up Green Goblin's origin story. Like, Green Goblin's been around for years, and Harry's been through so much trauma over the years, and now you're going to say, well, he's been through all that because, his dad's a jerk and, he made a deal with the devil. It's kind of lame, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an element that didn't need to be added. It just feels weird and shoehorned in. And honestly, this issue, once again, wasn't good. It's just so boring. Nothing happens. And yes, this little tidbit did, but what does it do with anything? It's just like, wrap this up already.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be feeding to why Kindred's Kindred, right?
Right.
But then they show.
I don't care.
I know. But then they showed, you kind of alluded to it, Mike, where they showed Kindred, with Chameleon, and then he's like taking his mask off, and it's like, is he Harry? Is he a chameleon? What is he?
Right.
Who is he? Yeah.
Got to be someone completely different.
Right.
I am George from issue 23 that saw you walking next to Peter, and I was jealous and I wanted to get revenge. And I also made a deal with Mephisto saying that it would be someone completely off the wall,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was agreeing with you. Considering the people that Nick Spencer's pulled out during this run, that would not surprise me at all.
Yeah, right. It's like the Shocker or something, I don't know, man. It's just, it's weird.
Could be Rocket Racer.
Rocket Racer. Oh, man. I don't know. We just need this whole Nick Spencer run to end. Let's get to this whole Beyond situation, get through that, and let's get a new team, and let's move forward. So, all right, let's move on, guys, to number 3. My number 3 this week went to, I mentioned this on my Facebook group page, Kaijo Score issue 1 from Aftershock Comics. So this book is a book that I just picked up off of the, FOC. I saw it, from my comic shop, and I'm like, why not? And so get this. It takes place in Florida. Okay. All right. And, we have hurricane season. Well, now there's Kaijo season. So it's about this guy who's some low life, like, heist guy, like, likes to make all these robberies and stuff like that. And he's had all these robberies that have gone wrong. Like, he's had these big plans, and he always leaves out these little details. So now he has this shit ass reputation. So he has this whole thing where he's going to get these kaiju, right, to come to the coast of Florida, and they're going to make this whole, I guess, multi-billion-dollar painting. They're going to steal this thing. But in order to get the kaiju there, there's this, what creates them to come to Florida is mullet fish. So they come to the coast. The kaiju eat these fish, and then they wind up going to the coast, and they make their approach on the coast and go on the land. And there's, like, at the end of the book, there's all this, like, instead of a hurricane warning, it's like kaiju warning, kaiju watch. And this guy comes up with this plan. He goes, the kaiju won't bother us if, we don't do this and don't do that. And all the people that he's trying to pitch this big heist to, they're like, yeah, you're full of shit. You're an asshole. You don't know jack. And, he comes up with this plan, and they're actually going to go with it at the end. It's really a weird book. And the team that he acquires to do the heist with, they're a bunch of losers. They're like, there's this, like, safe cracker lady, that can sit, go into saves and stuff like that. And then there's this other guy that can get any supply that you want, but he's, like, really bad luck. So if he's on your team, bad things happen. It's just a really interesting book. I was like, wow. I was, like, totally blown away by the originality of this book. So I was like, I'm all over this. Unfortunately, like, the next issue doesn't come out till December. but
That's
it's
crazy.
so much fun.
Yeah.
The artwork was a little, a little different, but really great type of, I guess heist book, I guess you want to call it, just different. Never saw you would put like a crime book and a kaiju book and
Yeah.
mishmash it together like that. So it was pretty cool, man. Definitely recommend it. So that was my whatever number that was.
3.
3.
Yeah.
So what was yours, Kat?
Mine was speaking of a better Spider-Man story, Spider-Man Life Story, annual issue 1.
That was a great story.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've read a good Spider-Man issue, but it was good. It was from Jay Jonah's perspective about all the events that happened in Life Story, which I enjoyed that series as a whole, and how his obsession with Spider-Man kind of ruined his life, and I guess the redemption he kind of wanted to make in the end of this issue. But it was good. I really thought it was a solid character-driven story, and is just a good one-shot, and I'm glad the annual exists.
Yeah, it was really good. I just loved that whole thing, how he kind of went down this rabbit hole, and it all started with Scorpion, and like you said, he had to get that redemption against Scorpion at the end, but it was kind of cool seeing how him and Norman Osborn developed this relationship with each other, and as he got out of jail, Norman spent the last couple of years in the warehouse building that Spider Slayer armor so he can take on Scorpion. That was so cool, man. I love that. And the way he died at the end, like, it's like he died at getting his revenge, but he died at with a heart attack on top of the Daily Bugle. It was a
very poetic
great ending. Really, really good book. I really enjoyed this one.
I don't think I loved it as much as you two, but I did enjoy it. Yeah, it was good and it was poetic, and seeing that he's even all those years he's just angry, and when he gets on the phone with Peter after MJ dies and was it MJ or Gwen? It was MJ, right? That died. Yeah,
MJ. No, Gwen. Gwen's the one who died, and I think that's how he got with MJ. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've read the original Life Story.
Yeah,
Gwen has definitely died in this version. I don't think MJ did.
Yeah. Gwen was alive though at the end of this book.
Well, it was the clone of Gwen.
It was her clone of her.
Yeah, which I thought was a nice, interesting twist that she was the therapist for.
She was
the
therapist. Yeah, really interesting there.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see just what direction all their paths take if it's like one continuous story like this instead of keeping their youth for decades and decades, so they're long, for the longevity sake of the characters. But I thought it was very interesting to see Jonah's journey, and ultimately, like you guys said, him getting a little bit of payback and a little bit of redemption through all that.
Yeah, this is a good Spidey story because Terry says it sounds like a good Spidey story. Finally, yeah, it actually is. It's better than the real story that was going on. That's for sure.
Which I'm not surprised because Life Story was a solid series.
Yeah, it was.
All right, so let's see. And Brant, you got to go, right?
Oh yeah, mine. We already talked about it, which was Darkhawk.
All right, cool. All right. So now we're going to move on to the two books. We did already talk about Robin, and we already talked about Thor. So the next thing we're going to go on is just go straight to our number 2. And my number 2 was a book we did talk about. Mine was Darkhawk. Cool. So Brent, what was your number 2 then?
Mine we also talked about, which was Superman, Son of Kal-El.
And Kat.
Mine was Thor. We already talked about it.
All right.
All right, so then we just continue going forward, and we move on to books that we haven't talked about yet. So we're going to talk about Detective Comics 1042 as this wraps up the whole story with Vile. But this might not be the end of Vile's little egg things because they kind of go down a drain at the end of the last issue, right?
Yeah.
So done with this arc. It's been so
over
long.
Now, Kat. It's done.
It is over now.
Yeah,
well, let's see what that next arc is going to be and how many issues. Well, also it's not over because they did pretty much in the end say, oh, maybe it's not over. Let's see. I don't like this arc, and I hope the next arc is better. And I feel like that's been similar to Mariko Tamaki's Wonder Woman. First issue was great, and then just didn't really go anywhere.
I just didn't like, what's his name?
Worth.
I thought he was more interesting than some of the others, but he didn't do anything.
But all he does is scream all day. Like, shut up. Like, I understand, like, you want vengeance for your daughter, but dude, screaming at people is just not going to help. Okay? And I just did not like that guy. I told you guys before I liked the Vile character because I just thought it was kind of cool how he can infect people and then he can see through all his victims. It was kind of like that FX show, what the hell, The Strain, called The Strain. I don't know if you guys ever watched it, but it was kind of just like that. And I enjoyed that. I thought the end wasn't very good because it was just like, I don't know, somehow they punched him in his stomach and the little parasite.
I know, what was that?
Like it just like popped out of him.
Right.
And it was like, and then she shot the arrow through it and then it died. This thing has been inside of him since he was a little boy and they couldn't extract it out of him. So just a punch in the gut is going to make this thing come out. That didn't make any sense to me.
That was so lame. It didn't make any sense at all. I saw that and I was like, oh my God, that was like, we're done with this. We need to move on. So let's just punch it out of him.
Like they could like shoot him or something, burn him, do something like that. It was just like punch in the gut. Like,
it felt like. Yeah, go ahead. No, finish your thought.
Don't you think that if any doctor said, "Hey, why don't we try punching him in the stomach? Maybe we'll do the Heimlich removal. Maybe it'll make it come out then." You know,
right? I felt like this issue existed to just show a cool Cthulhu-looking Batman. It was like,
I think so as well.
It did look cool though.
It did look cool, but
the art in general was good for this book.
Yeah,
I do like the art.
Yeah, it was a very abrupt ending to a drawn out story that went on too long, and then the way it ended because the drain. I didn't enjoy this, unfortunately.
So we'll see what happens with the next story arc here.
Yeah,
we will.
All right, so let's talk about another shit-tacular comic. I did not like this one. This one is the Winter Guard. I was bored to death by this.
My problem. Oh, go ahead.
What were you gonna say? No, you go.
I was just gonna say my problem with this was how heavily it seemed to tie into Avengers.
Oh, and it tried to.
Yeah, it tried to.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the She-Hulk references and everything, and I didn't expect that. I was kind of hoping it was its own thing, and because of that immediately took me out of it. And then I have no connection to most of these characters, and it was a lot of sitting around the room talking about what they're going to do. And then the fight scenes were okay, but
the art wasn't great.
Yeah, the art wasn't great, and I just had no connection to it. So.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing. Like, I didn't hate the book. I thought, like, okay, it kind of has a story going on, but at the same time, it feels so throwaway. It feels like a filler issue. It feels like
why would you want to read it? Why would you want to read the next issue? There was nothing there.
There was no reason. Exactly. Like, I don't think issue 1, it was bad. Like, it wasn't a bad book for me, but also like didn't feel like it needed to be there at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it made this big thing like, oh, Crimson Dynamo is getting destroyed. His armor's blowing up. I'm like, woo. I'm like, good. I'm like, that's the best thing that happened in the entire issue. I'm like, I don't know, man. It wasn't for me. So
yeah. The one beat that I did think was good was where Yelena finds out that Ursa Major was killed. And she got really emotional about that. That was the one beat that I was like, okay, that's good. That's, that reminded me of Black Widow, but.
I do want to read Terry's comment. This is my favorite show I've seen so far. Very entertaining to me, guys. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it.
I'm glad we can entertain you a little bit, right? Yeah. That's what we try to do. I don't know if we can do it, every time, but we try.
We definitely try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the end of Winter Guard, and that's the end of the series for me. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to our number 1 books. Mine was Spider-Man Life Story. hands down. Like if this was a Spider-Man book that I wanted, this was it. Not that other craziness that's going on right now. So love this story. Cat.
Mine was Robin. Stephanie was in it, so you know how
Probably Brands too, right?
Yeah, it's mine too. Yeah, Robin.
Great book. Great book.
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot of good books out this week. There really was. There was some really great, solid books that I had a fun time reading. Hard for me to make a top 5. Next week, I think it's going to be a little bit.
It's going to be hard in a different way.
Yeah.
I think there's like 2 big books coming out. I'm like, all right, hopefully these are good, or else it's not going to be a fun week.
All right, so let's just move forward now to the chopping block here. These are the books that we're thinking about getting rid of permanently. The first one is going to be, at least for me, Echoland's like half chop. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Full chopping that. I didn't like really much about. Yeah, I didn't really like much of that first issue.
All 3 of us are on board for getting rid of Winter Guard. We already expressed our feelings about that one big time.
I'm glad we all tried it though. We all 3 of us tried it for some reason.
That's true,
the book that I think I'm going to chop is Amazing Fantasy. I thought that the first issue kind of an interesting hook, but really the second issue, it's literally 3 different stories. Like I thought maybe they would all come together in one place, but they're all in 3 separate places. And I showed Kat earlier on our group me about the girl from Erratic. She was just like in one random panel.
Oh, yeah.
And she's carrying a machine gun and she shoots this frog person. I texted to her. I was just like, hey, Kat, look, it's the blonde girl from Erratic.
I said, is she as boring as she was in that book?
Because that's the same writer and artist that does that Amazing Fantasy book. So
okay.
At least you had good art.
It was pretty good. Yeah, it was all right. But when all the girls look very similar to Blonde Girl, it starts, it's kind of because it has this own distinctive style, and they all look like her, except she either got brown hair, blonde hair, black hair, and they all have big eyelashes, and
maybe they're just clones as part of the story. You got to read the next issue to find out.
No, I'm not. I think I'm dropping that one. I think I am. And it's a $5 book. It's $5 for like 28 pages.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah,
it's not worth the price. Once in Future. Who's that, Brand?
Yeah. It's a half chop. I just haven't been enjoying it as much the past few issues, and it's kind of losing me, and I don't know. It's like bottom of my pile at this point. I still love the art and everything. Yeah. Just the story has just gotten away from it, I think. So
gotcha. And then you're looking at chopping Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads. You're not digging the mystical arts of this story.
I was iffy on the first issue, but and then especially when it was going into Hulk for this issue, and then this issue just did not do anything to sell me on it. So
much Symbiote Spider-Man. It's been going on for how many volumes now?
Right.
I think this is the last one, and I'm just gonna finish this out. So then I have all the Symbiote Spider-Man series, and I think I might actually just sell them all as a complete thing. There really are like throwaway stories or nothing really. Yeah. There's not going to be any value to them, but someone might get enjoyment out of them. So I might just sell them as like a complete set or run or something like that. And if I want to read it,
I was going to say maybe a new comic fan will like it. Like someone
exactly.
Yeah. It's just with this one, he's bouncing around from every issue's a different dimension, it seems. Yeah. Or a different reality. And it's just, I don't want to see that. And now he's like in...
Some of our viewers like Symbiote Spider-Man, so... Yeah.
The next one is like Moon Boy and Double Dinosaur back in prehistoric times. It's like, I don't need that.
You need Moon Girl. You don't want Moon Boy.
Exactly.
Mike Manhattan said, do you guys hear that Jeff Lemire is moving to Substack?
I feel like, did we talk about it? I feel like we did.
I thought we did.
No.
Maybe not.
Wait, was he on that list too?
I think so. But maybe not. Yeah, because of the Black Hammer stuff. We definitely have talked about it.
Yeah.
Either way, there's so many of them that are going there. Just part of the. I don't even know if it's news anymore who goes. I think the only person I'd be surprised by is like a Tom Taylor or like Dan Slott. People are like so in the Marvel and DC, like, oh, would they go to Substack? Like that'd be like, oh man, that's huge. But there's I wouldn't be surprised by many.
Apparently, this news just broke today, so I guess we hadn't talked about it.
We probably have not talked about it, but there you are. Not surprised.
Yeah.
It's only going to last so long, I feel. And then eventually they're going to be doing stuff again.
I think it's like a Kickstarter. This is going to be their first release. I do think it'll continue if it does well. And then they'll, sell it to Image or Boom, that series. And then you'll probably be able to read it as a trade. I don't know if you'll be able to read it as a single issue, which does worry me.
If it's trade, that's fine. I mean, I'm all good with that. I'm not paying that subscription service. Like, if they did it to where they were all part of something, like you mentioned that one time, I thought about it, where it's like a Netflix and you can actually pay for all of their content. That's a different story. But I'm not paying $8, $9, $10, $6. I'm not doing that. I can't. There's no way.
I don't. That comment you just popped up, I don't think it's how digital takes over, because they are going to do print editions of all this stuff in some shape or form later.
Yeah.
I just think, like we talked about when this was first announced, it's just another way to get comics out there. It's a different crowd. It doesn't have to be for us, It doesn't mean we can't pick up those books later. So I'm cool with reading it a year later. I don't care when I read it,
Yeah. It's like I said before too, it's similar to Patreon. It's for those super fans of those creators to get their stuff early.
And if you can afford that and you want to do that, hey, that's great. And if there's no other way for you to get comic books, that's another way for you to read it. I mean, for us, luckily, we have other ways to, get comics, and we like reading physical comics. It's just what we grew up to.
Tevia asked,
Yeah, right? It's an interesting question. What happens if Substack fails? Nothing. I feel like that's more on the creator. It's like they lose out. For us, nothing happens.
Yeah. So all these first creators, real quick, Mike, I'm sorry. All these first creators, they got paid like a sum by Substack to come to their platform to do this. So they're getting money up front already. Everything they get from subscribers is cherry on top of that. So after that deal is over, after that, investment is exhausted, then they just move on and do something else if it doesn't work, if it's not beneficial for them.
It's kind of like I was going to say, they basically, they have to upfront their money, though, to make these projects. They have to get their own illustrators. They have to get their own, they got to do everything, colorists, whatever it is. They got to get their own team behind the book, and they got to pay those people to do that. So it's like you said, it's like a Kickstarter, except they already got the money from them to do this. So. But good questions there. All right. Yeah. So that's it when it comes to the chopping block. So, Bran, I'll pass it over to you. We're going to do the very few most anticipated books that we have.
Yeah, very few is right. All right. So, Captain Marvel, we kind of talked about earlier in the show. We got that next issue coming out tomorrow.
Is that the new story arc?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I am gonna pick that up, because during the summer I fell off of it a bit, and then I realized that this was a new story arc, so I'm gonna jump on that once again, because it seems like an interesting story, this one.
I'm pretty excited for this one, and the last issue was really good too. The last previous arc was very okay, but it's Kelly Thompson. Even if she's had some off issues there, it's still a solid series.
Yeah. Last issue was a filler, but it was a fun filler,
right?
And so this one is all about the Marvel family, the different Marvel characters,
which I'm excited for. That's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah, agreed. All right, we got we got a couple of big number ones. I'll save those. I put this on here because this one thing happens in this that makes me very curious, and it was referenced in another book, Green Lantern 2021 Annual number 1. I don't typically get annuals, but Jessica Cruz becomes a Sinestro Corps member in this book, and I want to know why. So I'll probably get this. Yeah.
Remember, we saw this in the future. Now, are we for sure that this book is coming out today or tomorrow?
Well,
yeah, I believe it. Oh, maybe it's not. Let me double check.
Maybe not. Yeah,
I think it's coming out next week.
I think that one was delayed.
It got pushed. Okay.
But if you want to talk about it now, since it's already on the table, I don't normally get Green Lantern, and I will be getting that, and then maybe getting Green Lantern if it seems like the Jessica story is continuing there. So that's cool.
So we saw that in Future State where she reached for the ring. So now we're going to get the story, like what she does with this ring. So I am so curious to see. I want her back so bad, and she's just missing. And I think she's just an incredible character, and she's just not utilized at all.
Exactly.
It's so sad. She's just such a bright light in Green Lantern. Even Boz. We haven't seen him that much either, and I really liked him from Green Lanterns.
He is in the Green Lantern series. In this series,
right? He was like training Teen Lantern for a little bit,
and then he got
her mentor.
He got blown up, and his arm got blown off, and now he's got his temporary arm on there. So
God, that's a lot.
All right, so a book we haven't talked about in a while is Red Sonia. New number 1, and the reason I put this on there, and it looks like you marked it too, Kat, is because Mirka Andolfo. Yeah, you did actually.
No, Mike did.
Oh, Mike did. Okay, Mike did. I'm sorry, I got my columns wrong. Yeah, because Mirka Andolfo's writing this, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to dabble in a little bit of Red Sonia just to see. I think the character's interesting. But when I saw who was attached to it as well, I was like, oh, I might give this one a try. And, I'll give it 1 or 2 issues. If it's not good, then I'll just drop it. I'm not really a huge Dynamite fan. Like, I don't buy any of their books. But Red Sonia is one of those characters that I typically enjoy. I think she's an interesting character.
I agree. And, I like Mirka Andolfo, and I'd be curious to see what she does with the character. All right, and we got Firepower. That's always a good read. We're always excited about that.
This has been a good arc, too. Going back to the suburbs. It's been really good. And just like every family member has a good arc. And also last issue's cliffhanger was
the love triangle.
The ex.
Yeah, she finds out she's alive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
she's like, you didn't tell me?
Yeah, we get to see the repercussions of that, maybe. So
like, I care more about that than the whole serpent thing,
right?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, snakes possessing people. Yeah, that's kind of cool, but I want to know, like, what's the wife going to do with, what's his name, Owen, right? Owen.
Yeah,
yeah, and just like, oh man, that's going to be a rough story right there.
Yeah, for sure. So Sinister War number 4. We didn't love Amazing Spider-Man, but we did like last issue of Sinister War, I believe, overall.
I still only like the first issue of Sinister War.
I thought you liked it. Well, you said it was better than issue 2.
Yes, better than issue 2. But issue 2 was god-awful. Yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see where it goes. I'm not excited. I might have said most anticipated, but I'm not.
This is like... This part is usually the more action heavy of the series. So, and it's a very little kindred. So whenever you have those other characters in there, it makes it feel like more of a classic Spider-Man story. And then whenever you throw kindred in it, it's like, okay, now it's not a good story at all. So he just needs to go away. Like, I hope he goes away, man. I hate that character.
If he's not gone after Sinister War, I don't even know. Yeah. So moving on from that, we've got our 2 big number 1s that are coming out. We got Dark Ages number 1 from Marvel.
I'm excited for this just because it's Elseworld, it's Tom Taylor, and
it's been so long overdue. It's supposed to come out almost a year ago.
Yeah, it's definitely delayed. Yeah,
but it looks cool, man. This is what Tom Taylor does best. Is like when he comes out with these Elseworld stories, and
true.
I'm totally on board with this book.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not as excited as you guys. I'm kind of hesitant, but we'll see. I'm definitely going to try it. And then we got Batman Fear State Alpha. number one. Well,
Look,
obviously,
I'm not that excited for because I feel
Yeah.
like Batman is kind of fallen off the bandwagon once James Tynion said bye to DC Comics. So I'm not that excited for this.
Yeah, and if Fear State is leading to Future State, that has me even less excited. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they make a big deal out of it, and I said this on my video today, like on my most anticipated, and it's like it's a year in the making. Like, okay, it's a year in the making. Like I said, like comic books, 1 year in a comic book, it's not that long. It's like nothing, and I'm just like, it just felt like yesterday that Joker War, ended, and now we're getting this Fear State, and we knew we were getting this Fear State thing forever. So it's not like
yeah,
it's this big surprise. And again, I am on the Batman fatigue thing. Like
Oh,
there's
yeah.
just been so much Batman, and I do like this run. I'm not gonna lie, but I think I'm just absolutely fine with just reading this in Detective right now.
I think the book fell off after Joker War. Right when you just said that, I'm like, oh yeah, Batman was really good back then, and now it's just like since then has been declining down.
yeah,
I like the little side ones. Like I love Nightwing. I really like Robin. If a Batgirl's book came out, that'd be great. But yeah, out of all of like the other mini stuff, I just need Batman and Detective as well. I don't really need any of the Black Label stuff.
yeah. I completely agree. But that's it. That's all our most anticipated. Small list.
All right, that's it. So
Yeah.
that's it, guys. That's all we have for the show today. So we're just going to wrap up with a couple of things that might be going on. Of course, we got Kat's Kickstarter. So if you want to announce that one more time, Kat.
Yes, please go check out Buy Visibility. I'm going to screen share real quick because we were so close to funding. We are less than $200 away, and we're like 10 backers away from 400. So hopefully you guys could go check it out. It's a bisexual anthology, a lot of different genres being explored, like romance, high fantasy, action, spy adventure. So go check it out. Hopefully we fund in the next hour or so. That'd be really cool. If not, when I wake up tomorrow, hopefully we'll be all funded. And the most backers I've gotten on a Kickstarter, which has been, a good amount of backers, is like 520 something. So it's like really cool to be at 400 backers with 29 days left. So really excited to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really good.
Yeah, so go check that out. And also the webtoon Slice of Life, which we're going to be having a Kickstarter for that really soon as well. Go check out the webtoon because we're at like 11,000 subscribers in 2 months. So that's been doing really, really great. We're really happy about it.
All right. Brant, do you have any news?
Yeah, our puzzles from our Legendary Lands campaign will be arriving Thursday. So we will be getting, I think it's like, I don't know, a lot of puzzles, like 400, 500 puzzles, something like that, delivered to our house in 2 days. So that's exciting. So surveys will be going out for that soon, and fulfillment very soon, short after. So that's exciting. And we actually do have a Kickstarter coming up relatively soon. You'll hear more about that in the weeks to come. And aside from that, I'm just, chipping away at everything else. So.
Nice. All right. And then for me, of course, I got my usual videos that are coming out. Monday, I have my top 10 comic book covers of the week. Today, I put out my top 10 most anticipated comics for next week. Tomorrow is the, I think, a 490th comic book haul. So we're getting close to 500. That's going to be a quite interesting video. And then Thursday, I will be doing After the Poll, where I pick five or so comics from my most anticipated and talk about them. And then Friday, I'm doing a new series. It's going to be called Must Read New Number Ones, coming out for, I think, 9/8/21. So it's going to be a show where I talk about all the new number one series that are coming out for that week, so you don't miss out on the newest number one comic books. Because sometimes when we miss those new number ones, and especially those independent ones, when they take off, people miss them, they can't get them, and they're like, oh shit. So now at least you have something to watch. Like, think about Stray Dogs, right? Stray Dogs is like this huge hit now, and some people never even heard of it until like the series was done. So, that's kind of the point of this new series that I'll be doing. So I'm looking forward to starting that. That will be out on Friday. And then Dollar Bin Diving will move to Saturdays, where I pick out some of those cheap ass comics, smell them. And it's so much fun. I love doing that series, man. It's so good. So, and that's all for me. And that's all from all of us. So, guys, thank you so
one more thing, Mike.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I just want to give a shout out to our friend Chris, who is doing a live stream tomorrow at noon Eastern, I believe, on his channel. So you guys go check that out. Dark Avengers C86.
Awesome. Mike, sign those prints. Yours is the only auto. Nice. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching this week's episode. We'll be back for another episode next week. So, of course, make sure you subscribe to Comic Book Weekly and Comic Book Corner 2.0. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, right? So you don't miss, or so you like it. And then, of course, don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss any content from us. And make sure you hit receive all notifications, not like partial of them, because then you might miss the show, right? And then, of course, yes, you always have to follow us on social media, especially Kat, because she is crazy on Twitter. She's got like a ton of followers. Brant, I think you have a lot too, right?
Yeah, I've got not as many as Kat probably, but I've got a lot. Yeah,
but you guys can follow
the check
me
mark definitely helps on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then you guys can follow me on Facebook. I'm almost at 1,000 followers on my group, so yeah,
That's
check that
awesome.
out as well.
Yeah.
So and then Twitter, Instagram. Do we even do Instagram? I don't even know.
Yeah, we
have-
don't really post on it that much, but yeah, we do have.
Maybe don't go on Instagram as much. But then, of course, follow us on YouTube, and obviously you are because you're watching us on YouTube. So I'm going to shut up now. We're all going to wave like we usually do when we say goodbye. Guys, have a great week. Enjoy your comics this week. Happy New Comic Book Day. See you soon.